say that what's happening to men is a 5-alarm fire for men in the United States. Tell us what's going on as you see it.
Well, the statistics are pretty stark.
Dear good people of the foolish world, today my wife told me to make a video about this man and the headline he's popular for, which is young men are struggling.
Say that what's happening to men is a 5-alarm fire for men in the United States. Tell us what's going on as you see it.
Well, the statistics are pretty stark. If you walk into a morgue and there's 5 people who've died by suicide, 4 are men. 3 times as like we have a homeless problem and an opiate problem, but what we really have is a male homeless and a male opiate problem. 3 times as likely to be addicted, 3 times as likely to be homeless, 12 times as likely to be incarcerated. More single women own homes than single men. Women in urban areas are making more money. And let me be clear, we should do nothing to get in the way of that. But if our young men continue to flail, our country and women aren't going to continue to flourish. And just a couple of things you brought up, loneliness and then role models. 1 out of 4 men can't name a best friend. 1 out of 7 men don't have a single friend.
Yeah, you get the picture. For a few years now, people like Professor Galloway have constantly fed us the idea that young men's lives are ruined. Young men don't have homes, they don't have jobs, they don't even have a beautiful wife like I do. But what if I told you that all these are lies? Then you might want to ask me, does that mean the statistics are wrong? No, the statistics are right, but they're manipulated to make you feel something. But how do I know this? Oh, okay, there are 3 facts we have to look at to debunk this myth. First, listen carefully to the next question Oprah will ask Prof. Scott, and something unexpected will start happening in your big head.
1 out of 4 men can't name a best friend. 1 out of 7 men don't have a single friend. And what I would say is there's a lot of factors around this, but something to be cognizant of is that...
Can I just stop you for a second? Yeah. Is that unusual? Is that new?
It's getting worse.
Now you see what I'm talking about, don't you? When this Gnostic genius was asked if this just began in recent decades, he said, it's getting worse. The problem with that answer is that everybody's life, including that of women, is getting worse. And I'll prove it to you very soon. Now you may want to ask me, if everybody's life is getting worse, why do people like Galloway talk as if young men are specially ruined? Well, that leads us to the second point.
Well, my guest that you're referring to has been sounding the alarm about young men in America. As a father of 2 sons, he speaks, and he says he grapples with this thought. How do I figure out a way to raise confident, decent young men? And I'm sure a lot of you have had that thought for yourselves. That question became the guiding force for his newest book. And let me tell you, it's an amazingly, really profound, thoughtful book. And if you are a man, you're going to want to read it. And if you're a woman, you want to send it to every man you know. It's called Notes on Being a Man.
People like Professor Galloway present men's problems like they were unique problems because they're selling books to men. This makes sense to my dumb mind because to sell things, you have to scare people. For example, for me to sell my iPhone 16, I told the guy who wanted to buy it that Apple has announced that they'll never make an iPhone again. Which is the reason why he paid me $3,000. Okay, my iPhone story is a lie. In fact, I'm too poor to afford an iPhone. But you get the idea. If you scare people, they'll buy your shit. So what do people who want to scare men do? Well, they choose statistics that favor the argument that men want to believe. This is what philosopher David Kyle Johnson called the fallacy of suppressed evidence. But how can we prove this is what's going on here? Well, simple. All you have to do is pay attention to studies about women. You see, life has gone worse for women in the last 2 decades, just as it has for men. For example, rates of common mental health disorders, anxiety, depression, and self-harm have increased among women since the early 2000s, while rates for men have remained relatively stable during this time. According to the American Psychological Association, more women are now using antidepressants than at any time in history of the world. More women in their 30s and 40s are single than ever. You think they like that? Well, go and see how single women cry every day on TikTok. In fact, I married my wife because I saw her crying. Okay, that's not true. I married her because I love her. Now, where were we? women today have more pregnancy complications and lower fertility than in 2001. More women are single mothers today than ever. Global climate disasters, fires, floods, extreme weather, since 2000 have affected more women and girls than boys and men. You think women love that? Before the 1950s, families used to be able to afford homes and a car from the single income of the man, while women stayed at home. Today, women have to work like a man, while many of them still have a full-time job of taking care of their children. And what do you do when your wife returns from one work to another work? I know you. You sit down with your silly ass in front of your silly TV, watching some absolutely stupid comedy shows. Then you might want to ask me, isn't it true that men have historically died before women? Isn't it true that historically men are more likely to commit suicide, fall into alcoholism, be lonely, etc.? Yes, all that is true, and there are simple explanations for it. But that's not the point people like Professor Scott Galloway is making. The point Galloway is making is that in recent decades, young men's life has gotten worse. That claim is false, or at least I think it falls, because young men's life has not gotten worse. As I've proved above, life as a whole has gotten worse for everybody, men and women, and except you're selling books, you wouldn't scare young men to think they're in a different hell. We're all in the same hell. Capitalism is getting out of hand. Nobody can afford anything anymore. Even homes with 2 working parents are still poor. Social media is destroying us. Dating sites have made us see mating as grocery shopping. Schools are becoming similar to religious institutions with their ideologies. We don't socialize or make friends anymore. Instagram has created unrealistic beauty expectations for women and unrealistic wealth expectations for men. Twitter has made it easier for us to hate each other's political views. We've become a bunch of idiots, which is the reason why the last time some of my alien friends visited the Earth, they couldn't find any sign of intelligence among us. Young men don't have problems. The world has problems. Thanks for watching, and go and buy Professor Galloway's book right now. If you don't buy his book, I'll not share my cookies with you.